My beloved, they look at you, and perhaps they see someone who is trying, someone who is, for the most part, holding it all together. They see your presentable self, the version of you that you allow the world to see. But you, my child, when you are alone and you look into the unsparing mirror of your own soul, you see something else entirely, don't you? You see the hairline fractures from past heartbreaks. You see the deep, discolored stains left behind by your greatest regrets. You see the missing pieces, the parts of your innocence, and your hope that you fear are gone forever. And there is a voice that accompanies that vision. Isn't there a relentless, accusing whisper that echoes in your quietest moments, especially in the dead of night? It is the voice of the accuser, your ancient adversary, and he is a master of torment. He holds up the shattered pieces of your past and he tells you, with a chilling certainty, this is who you really are. You are not whole. You are broken. You are not clean. You are stained. You are not qualified. You are permanently and irrevocably disqualified. That voice is a powerful liar. But I have come to you today as the more powerful truth. He shows you your brokenness in order to condemn you and keep you in a prison of shame. I am acknowledging your brokenness today so that you can finally understand the sheer, breathtaking, world-altering magnitude of what the blood of the Lamb has done for you. Let us be honest about the echo of your brokenness, for it must be faced before it can be silenced. You feel stained, the shame of your past mistakes, the memory of your willful sin feels like an indelible ink that has seeped not just onto your skin, but into the very fabric of your being. You have tried to scrub it out with good works and religious activity. You have tried to cover it with the smiles of pretense and the garments of respectability. You have hoped that the passing of time would bleach it away, but in silence, when you are alone with your thoughts, you can still see it. A word, a memory, a fleeting image can bring the entire stain back into sharp focus. And you're convinced that it is a permanent part of who you are. You feel fragmented. Your soul feels like a beautiful vase that was dropped from a great height, shattering on a stone floor. With painstaking effort, you have tried to glue the pieces back together, but the pieces never quite fit as they once did. There are missing shards you can't account for. The cracks, though sealed, are always visible to you. And so you present a carefully assembled version of yourself to the world, holding yourself together with all your might. But you live in a constant, low-grade terror that a single bump, a single unexpected trial, will cause you to fall apart all over again. You do not feel whole. You feel like a collection of broken pieces, precariously held together by the weak glue of your own willpower. And most painfully, you feel disqualified. This is the accuser's primary weapon, his most venomous lie. He is the prosecuting attorney of your past, and he is brilliant at his job. In the courtroom of your mind, he replays the highlight reel of your worst moments. He presents the evidence of your most shameful secrets, your most spectacular failures. And then he delivers his closing argument with a sneer. A person who did that can never be truly used by God. A person who went that far can never be truly holy. A person with that past can never have a truly pure future. You are damaged goods. You are permanently benched. And because the facts, he presents the memories of your actions. are true. You have believed his ultimate lie, which is that your past actions define your present identity and your future possibility. You must understand who this voice is. His very name, Satan, means the accuser. His entire strategy since the garden has been to hold humanity's sin against them, to keep their eyes fixed on their own failure, so that they will never lift their eyes to discover the overwhelming power of my grace. He speaks with the authority of a prosecutor. But he is a prosecutor in a court whose judge has already thrown the case out, has already declared the defendant innocent, has already wiped the entire record clean. He speaks with power, but he has no real authority. And I do not condemn you for having believed him. His lies are convincing because they are wrapped in the bitter truths of your own memory. He speaks in a voice that sounds remarkably like your own internal monologue. He is a master of mixing poison with just enough truth to make you swallow it. But I have come to you today to bring a truth so absolute, so powerful, and so final that it will utterly detoxify your soul and silence his condemning voice forever. The accuser points to your broken pieces. He points to your stained garments. He reads along an accurate list of your debts and your failures. He is, you see, an expert on the problem. He knows your sin better than anyone, but he is utterly, profoundly, and eternally ignorant of the solution. His limited, dark mind cannot comprehend the divine alchemy of my love. He does not understand the logic of a perfect and final sacrifice. He does not understand the covenant sealing, sin-destroying, demon-shattering, life-creating power that is in the precious blood of the Lamb of God. So for this one last moment, I want you to look squarely at the brokenness you feel. Acknowledge the stains you see. Listen, for the last time, to the echo of the accuser's voice. Do not run from the painful reality of your sin and failure. Face it, because I'm about to bring a revelation of my grace into your heart that will so completely overwhelm your reality of sin, so totally eclipse your feeling of brokenness, and so definitively silence your accuser, that you will be left breathless in the holy, awesome, and liberating presence of my redeeming love. We must first acknowledge the depth of the wound before we can truly appreciate the infinite power of the cure. You have now looked unflinchingly at the echo of your own brokenness. You have acknowledged the inner voice of the accuser and the heavy weight of the stain and shame you carry. You see the problem with a painful clarity, but you have perceived this problem as a historical accident, a tragic and unforeseen deviation from my perfect plan for your life. You believe that your fall surprised me, that your sin disappointed me, and that your brokenness presented me with a problem I then had to solve. To understand the infinite power of the cure, you must first understand that I was never surprised by your wound. I was eternally prepared for it. We must now speak of the divine, beautiful, and perfect logic of the sacrifice I made for you. Before I ever laid the foundations of the world, before the first star was hung in the vastness of space, in the timeless, light-filled counsel of my own being, I foresaw you. I saw your life from beginning to end as a single, complete thought. I foresaw your every triumph and your every trial. And yes, I foresaw your every sin, Your every failure, every secret shame, every moment you would turn away from me, and my response, in that eternal moment, was not anger. It was not frustration. It was not a sigh of disappointment. My response was a plan, a beautiful, costly, perfect, and utterly loving plan of redemption. My child, you must grasp this mystery, for it will be the bedrock of your new freedom. In the heart of your God, a lamb was chosen and metaphorically slain for you before you ever drew your first breath. Your remedy predates your disease. My grace was already waiting for your sin. My mercy had already accounted for your every failure. The solution was not a reaction to your problem. Your problem was always destined to be swallowed up by my pre-existing solution. But why a sacrifice? Why a lamb? Why blood? Because my very nature, the essence of who I am, holds two perfect and seemingly contradictory truths. I am perfectly, unimaginably holy and just, and I am perfectly, overwhelmingly merciful and loving. My perfect justice requires that sin, which is a violent disruption of the perfect harmony of my creation, must have a real and serious consequence. It cannot simply be ignored or swept under the rug. My perfect mercy, however, longed to gather you back into my arms, completely forgiven, completely free, and completely unburdened by the consequences you deserve. How could both my perfect justice and my perfect mercy be satisfied at the same time? This is the great question that no human philosophy or religion has ever been able to answer. You have tried, have you not, in your own way? You have tried to balance the scales. You have tried to pay the debt of your past failures with the currency of your present good works, your religious duties, your resolutions, your self-denial. But it is like trying to pay an infinite debt with a handful of dusty pennies. Your best efforts, always stained with imperfect motives and human weakness, could never satisfy the demands of perfect holiness. Your own sacrifices were never enough to bridge the chasm. So I, in my infinite wisdom and love, devised a plan that only a God could devise. A plan to satisfy my own justice so that my own mercy could be released to you without limit. I would provide the sacrifice myself, but it had to be a perfect sacrifice.
I mean, there's been
It could
a
not
few
be
days when I've
metaphorical
seen like
or
slivers of it
It
from
had to be something of infinite value to pay an infinite debt. It had to be without spot or blemish.
like our balcony.
Something of utterly pure and unstained by the world's brokenness. This was the Lamb, my Lamb, the eternal Word who was with me and was mine, the most precious expression of my own heart, sent into the world for one singular purpose, to become the perfect, final, and all-sufficient offering on your behalf. And what was the nature of this Lamb? He was innocence personified. He walked with perfect love in the same world where you stumbled in fear. He spoke words of pure grace where you spoke words of rash judgment. He obeyed my will perfectly where you rebelled. He was, in essence, the perfect humanity you were created to be, but failed to become. And this sacrifice was not reluctant. He was not dragged to the altar. The Lamb went willingly, out of a love for you so profound, so personal, so ferocious, that it is beyond your mortal comprehension. He saw you in your prison of shame, and his love was so great that he chose to take your place, to wear your chains, and to bear the full weight of the just consequence that was rightfully yours. And so, on a dark afternoon, upon a hill of public execution, The single greatest transaction in the history of the cosmos took place. It was the great and holy exchange. As he, the Lamb, opened his arms and he took upon himself all of your brokenness. He took your sin, your shame, your fear, your fragmentation, your disqualification. He allowed every filthy stain from your life to be transferred onto his own pure being. He who knew no sin became sin for you. He absorbed into himself the full, crushing weight of divine justice that you deserved. And in return, in that same moment, he gave you everything that was his. He gave you his perfect record of obedience. He gave you his unbroken relationship with me, his Father. He gave you his purity, his righteousness, and his wholeness. He clothed you in his own stunningly white garments. This was not a mere covering up of your sin. It was a complete, legal, spiritual, and eternal exchange of your identity for his. When I now look upon you, I do not see the record of your failure. I see the perfect record of my beloved Son. So do not ever again entertain the lie that you surprised me with your sin. Do not believe that you have disappointed me in a way that I did not foresee and provide for. My love for you has never been a reaction to your goodness. It has always been a preemptive strike against your brokenness. My grace is not a backup plan. It was always the main plan. The Lamb was slain for you before the foundation of the world. The solution has always been waiting for the problem. Your healing was planned before your wound was ever inflicted. This is the logic of my love. You now understand the eternal logic of the plan, the beautiful, heartbreaking necessity of a lamb slain for you before time began. But a plan, however magnificent, can feel abstract and distant. I want to bring this truth down from the heavens and apply it directly to the deepest, most painful place in your heart. We must speak now of the place where you feel most stained, most defiled, most permanently marked by your past. For we must speak of the specific, tangible, and miraculous power that is in the blood of the Lamb. You have lived with the consciousness of your stains for so long that they have become a part of your identity. The memory of your past sins and failures is not just a collection of unfortunate events. It feels like a deep wine stain on a white garment, a mark so dark and so setting that it seems to be a permanent feature of who you are. In your own strength, you have tried everything to remove it. You have tried scrubbing it with the harsh brush of self-condemnation. You have tried covering it with the thick patch of religious performance. You have tried hoping that the sunlight of time would simply bleach it into obscurity. But it is always there. In a quiet moment, your mind drifts, and you see it again, as dark and as shameful as ever. This stain dictates how you present yourself to the world, what you feel you truly deserve, and how close you allow anyone, including me, to get to you. The world knows of cleaning agents that can fade a stain. With enough effort, they can bleach a dark color into a lighter shade, a pale imitation of the original purity. But I declare to you today that the blood of my Son is not a worldly chemical. It is a divine, living, and holy substance. It is a supernatural solvent that does not merely fade a stain. It does not just cover a stain. It is a power that penetrates the very fibers of your spiritual being, and completely, utterly, and molecularly dissolves the stain from existence. It does not leave a shadow or a memory. It removes the stain so completely that in the sight of heaven, it is as if the stain was never there at all. My prophets of old dreamed of this miraculous power through my Spirit. They cried out a promise for you, though your sins are like scarlet. They shall be as white as snow, though they are red like crimson. They shall be as wool. This was not just a beautiful line of poetry. My child, this was a precise, scientific, spiritual prophecy of the supernatural cleansing power that would be released for you through the shed blood of the Lamb. Consider the stains that have caused you such grief. There is the dark, scarlet stain of your sinful acts. Every wrong action, every selfish word, every impure thought, every act of rebellion left a dark mark upon the fabric of your soul. When the blood of the Lamb was applied to your life by your faith, it did not just paint over these dark marks with a coat of white paint. It went deeper. Its living power traveled into the very fiber of your being and unwrote the spiritual record of the stain. It did not just remove the guilt of what you did. It utterly cleansed you from the defilement of what you did. In my eyes, the scarlet is gone. Then there's a sticky, tenacious stain of shame. Shame is the toxic residue that sin leaves behind. Guilt says, I did something bad, but shame whispers, I am bad. It is the feeling of being inherently flawed, dirty, and worthless. It fuses itself to your identity. But the blood of the Lamb is the only power in the universe potent enough to dissolve this toxic shame as it washes over your soul. It not only cleanses the sin, but it also dissolves the deep-seated feeling of worthlessness that came with it. It replaces that feeling with the radiant, holy glow of my own righteousness, which has now been given to you as a free gift. And I must speak of the most painful stains of all the ones you did not create, but which were forced upon you. I speak of the stains left by what has been done to you, the cruelty of others, the betrayal, the abuse, the harsh words spoken over you. These things have left you feeling dirty, devalued, and used. You feel that their sin had permanently stained you. But I tell you a glorious and liberating truth. The blood of the Lamb is so powerful that it washes away not only your own sin, but the defiling sin that others have put upon you. It cleanses you from the spiritual filth of their actions against you. It declares you pure, untouched, and whole, restoring the honor and value that they tried to steal. The blood of the Lamb redeems you even from the sins of others. And what is the result of this divine washing? It is not a neutral gray or a faded beige. It is not simply the absence of dirt. The promise is that you shall be white as snow. Have you ever stood in a field after a fresh, thick blanket of snow has fallen? It is a white of breathtaking purity. It covers every flaw in the landscape. It is dazzling, brilliant, and perfect. This is how I see you now, when I'm your holy Father. Look at you. I do not see a reform center. I do not see a cleaned up version of your old self. I do not see a stained person who is trying their best through the perfect lens of the blood of my Son. I see a purity so profound and so complete that it brings me infinite joy. You are not just not dirty in my eyes. You are positively, stunningly, radiantly clean. So how do you live in this reality, especially when the memory of the old stains tries to reappear in your mind? This is your key. The blood has already been shed. The power has already been released. The cleansing has already been accomplished. Your part is not to try and cleanse yourself again. Your part is to agree with the cleansing I have already provided. When the memory of a past sin rises up to torment your conscience, you must not engage with it. You must not argue with it. You must not fall into the trap of trying to atone for it again with feelings of guilt. You must, by a conscious act of faith, apply the blood. You must speak to that memory and say, I have been cleansed of you by the blood of the Lamb. You have no more power over me. You have no more place in me. This is how you walk in the reality of your cleansing. You are not fighting for purity. You are fighting from a position of purity that has already been given to you. The stain is gone, my child, not faded, not hidden, not covered over, gone. It has been utterly dissolved into nothingness by the most powerful cleansing agent in the cosmos. Stand up now and see yourself as I see you, not in a stained and tattered garment, but robed in a righteousness so pure and so white, it outshines the driven snow. Believe it. It is who you are now. You have begun to understand the supernatural power of the blood of the Lamb to cleanse every stain from the fabric of your soul, to make you brilliantly, dazzlingly white as snow. But the enemy of your soul is not only a defiler who seeks to make you feel dirty. He is a meticulous and cruel legalist who seeks to make you feel guilty. He does not just point to your stains. He points to your debts. He is a cosmic loan shark, and his greatest delight is to remind you of what you owe. So we must now move from the laundry room of grace into the great courtroom of heaven. We must speak of the blood not just as a cleansing agent, but as the final and infinite payment that cancels all your debt forever. For most, if not all, of your life, you have lived with a profound and crushing sense of spiritual debt. Every broken promise you have ever made to me, every selfish act, every moment of rebellion, every failure to love perfectly has felt like another entry made against your name in a great cosmic ledger book. The weight of this accumulated debt is overwhelming. In your most honest moments, you have felt that you could work for 1,000 lifetimes, that you could perform 1,000,000 acts of service, and you would never even begin to pay off the interest, let alone the principal and the accuser. The great prosecuting attorney of the heavens loves this. It is his favorite game. In the courtroom of your mind, he unrolls the long scroll of your failures, and he reads the charges out loud. He reminds you of your bankruptcy. He reminds you of the law you have broken. He concludes his argument by declaring that you are guilty as charged, and that the sentence is eternal separation from me, and because he is citing facts from your own life. You have felt that his case is airtight, that your guilt is undeniable, and that your sentence is just. But you're right to feel that your debt was unpayable by you. You are tragically wrong to believe that it remains unpaid. When the Lamb went to the cross, he did not only go as a sacrifice to cleanse you, he went as your legal representative to pay for you. The blood he shed was not only a holy cleanser, it was the very currency of heaven, a currency of infinite value. And on that cross, he poured out that currency as a single, final, all-sufficient payment for every sin debt you have ever accrued or ever will accrue from the moment of your birth to the moment of your death. The transaction that took place was so complete, so absolute, and so eternally binding that it has forever silenced every legal claim the accuser held against you. Imagine, for a moment, that great and terrible ledger book in the courts of heaven, and in it, written in an ink of indelible black, is every one of your sins, recorded as a debt against your name. The list is long, longer than you could ever read, and the final sum is an infinite figure that would bankrupt the cosmos. When the blood of the Lamb was shed, I, the great and righteous judge, took that book. I did not turn to the back and mark it partially paid. I did not set you up on a payment plan of religious works. No, I took the quill of my divine authority. I dipped it into the precious, priceless blood of my own Son, and with a love that shook the foundations of the universe, I wrote across every single page, over every single charge, the eternal and liberating words paid in full. My Apostle Paul, writing under the inspiration of my Spirit, spoke of a certificate of debt with its legal demands, which stood against you. This was the official, legal record of all your transgressions, a document that gave the accuser the right to demand payment from you. The blood of the Lamb did not just satisfy the demands of that document. It took the certificate of debt itself, and I nailed it to the cross of the Lamb. I canceled it. I voided it. I rendered it utterly and eternally null and void. There's no longer any legal document in the entire universe that can be brought as evidence against you in my courtroom. The evidence has been destroyed by the very instrument of your salvation. In the most just legal systems of your world, there's a principle known as double jeopardy. It means that a person cannot be tried twice for the same crime for which they have already been acquitted, or for which the penalty has already been paid. My beloved, the justice of my kingdom is infinitely more perfect than this. The Lamb, your substitute, has already stood trial for all of your sins. He has already borne the full and complete penalty for them in his own body. For the accuser to now come to you and demand a penalty from you in the form of guilt, shame, or punishment is a cosmic and illegal act. He is attempting to enforce a double jeopardy. And for me, the just judge, to demand anything further from you would make me unjust. For the debt has already been paid to me in a currency I hold as infinitely precious. My Son's payment was so complete that my justice itself is now on your side. My justice now demands your freedom. But the transaction was even more glorious than this. Not only was your infinite debt completely wiped away, bringing your balance to zero, but in an act of breathtaking grace, the infinite, perfect, unblemished righteousness of the Lamb himself was transferred into your account. In a single moment, you were moved from a state of eternal bankruptcy to a state of eternal, inexhaustible spiritual wealth. This is what my theologians call justification. It means that in my eyes, you are not just declared not guilty. You have been legally declared positively, actively righteous. This is your new, unchangeable, and eternal legal standing before me. So what is your role now? The verdict has been read. The debt has been canceled. But the old accuser is a persistent liar, and he will still try to slip fraudulent bills under your door. He will whisper reminders of your old debts hoping that you have forgotten that the case is closed. Your job now is to act like the acquitted, debt-free person you are. When he presents you with a bill for a past sin, you are not to fall into despair. You are not to argue with him about the details of the debt. You are not to try and pay it again with your feelings of guilt. You are to stand in your new authority. Look him squarely in the eye and say with the confidence of one who knows their legal rights, that debt has been paid in full by the blood of the Lamb. This case is closed. Take your fraudulent notices and flee from my presence. You must learn to enforce the verdict that has already been won for you. So stand up straight. My child, throw your shoulders back. You are not a cowering debtor, scrambling to make payments to a God you can never satisfy. You are a beloved and fully acquitted heir, living in the glorious abundance of an inheritance you did not earn, but that can never be taken from you. The ledger is clear. The case is closed forever. The accuser has no legal ground to stand on. The blood of the Lamb has not just cleansed you, it has eternally acquitted you. You have heard and you have believed the glorious legal truth. You are clean. You are debt-free. You are acquitted. In the courts of heaven, your case has been closed forever, and the verdict is a triumphant not guilty. And yet, I know the landscape of the human heart. I know that even when the legal reality is settled, there's a deeper, more personal feeling of brokenness that can remain. The accuser, having lost his legal case against you, now resorts to a new and insidious tactic. He no longer shouts, "You are guilty." Instead, he whispers, "Perhaps you are forgiven, but you are still broken. You are a shattered thing." He seeks to torment you with the feeling of your own fragmentation. So now, we must move from the courtroom of heaven into the very workshop of your soul. We must speak of the power that does not just acquit the broken, but makes the broken whole again. We must speak of the holy fire that reforges a shattered soul. You live every day with the painful consciousness of your own inner brokenness. You feel fractured. There is the you that genuinely loves me and wants to please me. And then there's the you that still gravitates toward old habits, old fears, and old sins. There's the you that desires to love others unconditionally. And then there's the you that is still wounded, defensive, and quick to feel resentment. It feels as if a great civil war is raging in the land of your heart. In your best moments, you have tried to be your own repairman. You have tried to glue these warring pieces of yourself together with the adhesives of discipline, willpower, and new resolutions. But you can always feel the seams. You can always see the cracks. And you live in constant fear that the slightest pressure will cause the fragile vessel of your life to shatter into 1,000 pieces all over again. Listen to me, my child. You have been trying to repair yourself with human glue, but I am not a repairman. I am a creator. The power that was released in the sacrifice of the Lamb is not a divine adhesive that simply sticks your broken shards back together, leaving the ugly cracks for all to see. The blood of the Lamb does something far more radical, far more profound. It unleashes a holy fire, a divine heat so intense and so pure that it takes all the broken, jagged pieces of your soul, your past, your present, your failures, your hopes, your personality, your wounds, and it melts them down into a single, molten, liquid state, and from that, purified, liquid essence of your being. I am now reforging you. I am pouring you into a new mold. I am creating a vessel that is not repaired, but is entirely new. You are not glue. You are being made new. Consider this divine process when you first came to the cross. When you first surrendered your life to me, you did not come as a whole and healthy person. You came carrying the shattered fragments of your life. And that act of surrender, that moment of true repentance, was the sacred act of placing all those broken pieces into the crucible of my grace, in the fire of my Holy Spirit, a fire that was purchased and released for you by the blood of the Lamb, began to heat the crucible. This was the melting down. This was a season in your life that may have felt deeply disorienting and confusing. It was a season where your old, rigid identity began to lose its shape. Your hard-won defense mechanisms, your firm opinions, your stubborn ways of thinking, all began to soften and dissolve in the intense heat of my love. You felt like you were losing yourself, but you were actually losing the false self you had constructed so that your true self could be reformed. And as a fire melts the metal in a furnace, all the impurities, the dross, the slag, the filth naturally rise to the surface to be skimmed away. The holy fire of my presence in your life began to bring the hidden impurities of your heart to the surface. The deep-seated pride you didn't know you had, the secret fears that were controlling you, the hidden pockets of bitterness and unforgiveness. One by one, my spirit exposed them, not to shame you, but to free you. And as you saw them and confessed them to me, the gentle hand of my grace skimmed them away, purifying the very substance of your being. Once the essence of your soul was molten, purified, and liquid, I poured you into a new mold. What is this mold? It is the perfect image of my Son. By my Spirit, I am reshaping you, reforming you, recreating you into His likeness. The new vessel that is now cooling and hardening into its final shape is not the old you, patched up and trying hard. It is a new creation altogether, one that bears the glorious likeness of my own family. You are being conformed to the image of the Lamb. And here is a great mystery. In your world, a vessel that is broken and repaired is always weaker at the breaking point. But in my kingdom, a vessel that has been shattered and then properly reforged in a divine furnace is immeasurably stronger than it was in its original, unbroken state. The very process of being broken, melted down, purified, and reformed has added a new resilience, a new tensile strength to your soul that you did not possess before, the places where you were once weakest, the areas where the cracks were deepest. Having now been passed through the holy fire of my redeeming grace, have become your areas of greatest strength, greatest compassion, and greatest power. This is the great difference between human repair and divine recreation. Human effort leaves a visible, fragile scar. Divine reforging leaves a radiant glow of having been through the fire. Human willpower results in a tense and fragile truce between your broken parts. Divine grace results in a true, deep, and lasting integration of your entire being. You are not a collection of warring factions anymore. You are becoming one, whole, integrated person in me. Therefore, I am calling you now to a new way of seeing yourself. You must stop identifying with the shattered pieces of your past. That is no longer who you are. The fire has done its work. The molten essence has been poured. The new vessel is now taking its final, beautiful form. You must begin to see yourself as I see you, as a new creation. The old, fragmented, broken self has gone. The new, whole, and integrated self has come. When the memory of your old fragmentation arises, when you feel that internal civil war beginning to stir, you must remind yourself of this truth. You must say to your soul, I am not that person anymore. I have been through the fire of his love. I am being made new. This reforging is a process that I will continue for the rest of your days, shaping you from glory to glory. But the fundamental, miraculous work is already done. You are not a collection of broken pieces anymore. You are a whole and beautiful vessel in the hands of the potter, and my hands will never let you go. We have journeyed together now through the deep mysteries of my grace. You have seen how the eternal plan of the Lamb was laid before time began. You have understood how his precious blood acts as a divine solvent, dissolving every stain of sin and shame. You have heard how it served as an infinite payment, canceling every debt and silencing the legal claims of your accuser. You have grasped how the fire of my love, released through that sacrifice, does not merely patch you up, but reforges your very soul. And now, all of heaven falls silent. Imagine yourself standing in the great courtroom of the cosmos. The evidence has been presented. The accuser, your adversary, has made his long, detailed, and passionate case against you, citing every failure, every sin, every weakness. He has finished. He has no more to say. The angels hold their breath. All of creation leans in. It is time for the final, unappealable, and eternal verdict to be read from the throne of the universe. Let all of creation listen. Let every principality and power, both in the heavens and on the earth, be a witness to this moment. Let the accuser of the brethren be struck dumb and permanently silenced by this unchangeable, royal decree concerning you, my child, my beloved, my chosen one, based not on your own merit, which would surely fail, not on your own works, which could never be enough, not on your own righteousness, which is as a filthy rag, but based solely, completely, and eternally on the finished work and the shed blood of the one perfect Lamb, slain for you before the foundation of the world. I, the judge of all the earth, the Alpha and the Omega, your Creator, your Redeemer, your Father, and your God, do hereby render my final verdict over your life. And the verdict is this. First, I declare you whole. This is my divine answer to your feeling of fragmentation. The verdict of whole means the inner civil war is over. The pieces of your shattered past have not been precariously glued back together. They have been perfectly and seamlessly integrated into a new creation. You are no longer a collection of warring parts, the part that loves me and the part that fears me, the part that soars and the part that stumbles. By the power of my spirit, you are now a single, unified being in my Son. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, and your body are now being brought into a divine and peaceful alignment under the lordship of my grace. You are no longer broken. You are whole. Second, I declare you complete. This is my divine answer to your feeling of disqualification. The verdict of complete means that you are lacking nothing that is required for my love, my presence, or my service. You do not need to become better to be used by me. You do not need to become holier to approach me. You do not need to become more mature before you can be effective for my kingdom. By virtue of your union with my Son, you already possess, right now, everything you'll ever need for a life of godliness and purpose. The accuser's pervasive lie that you are disqualified, that you are not enough, is hereby exposed as perjury and is eternally nullified. You are, in this very moment, fully qualified, fully equipped, and fully complete in Him. Third, and most gloriously, I declare you accepted. This is my divine answer to your feeling of being stained and shameful. The verdict of accepted means that you are welcome, celebrated, and cherished in my presence, now and forever. It is a welcome without reservation, without a probationary period, and without any fear of future rejection based on your performance. You do not enter my presence on thin ice. You stand on the solid rock of the work of my Son. You're not my project to be fixed. You are my child to be loved. The stain of your shame has been so utterly removed by the blood that you have become a source of my delight. The scriptures are true. I rejoice over you with singing. I quiet you with my love. You are holy, unconditionally, and eternally accepted in the Beloved. This threefold verdict, whole, complete, and accepted, is not a temporary mood of mind. It is not a feeling that can change. It is an eternal, legal, and unchangeable spiritual reality that has been established forever. It has been etched into the bedrock of heaven by the iron pen of my will, and sealed with the unbreakable seal of the blood of my Son. No future failure you may commit can overturn this verdict. No new accusation from the enemy can challenge it. No wave of your own feelings of unworthiness can nullify it. The gavel of divine justice has fallen. The case is closed forever. Now, the verdict has been read. It is finished. Your part is to choose to believe it. You must believe my report over the report of your feelings. You must believe my declaration over the declarations of the enemy. You must stop putting yourself back on trial every single day. You must stop picking up the accuser's gavel and hitting yourself with it when you wake up in the morning. Your first thought must not be an inventory of your own inadequacy, but a declaration of my divine verdict over you. You must learn to live, think, and act as a whole, complete, an extravagantly accepted child of the Most High God, because that is who you now are. The courtroom of condemnation is now empty. The accuser has fled in shame, for he has no case. You are no longer the trembling defendant, standing in the dock, awaiting your sentence. You are now standing beside me, robed in the brilliant white of my Son's righteousness, and I am placing my arm around you. This is where you belong. This is your new reality. This is the finished work of the Lamb. The verdict from the throne room of heaven has been read. The gavel of divine justice has fallen with a sound that has silenced your accuser for all eternity. The declaration stands: you are whole, you are complete, and you are accepted. This is your new, unchangeable, legal reality. And yet, I, who know the depths of the human heart, know the question that now burns within you. It is the great question that follows every profound revelation of grace. How do I live like this? How do I make this glorious? Heavenly reality, my actual, daily experience, especially when my old feelings of brokenness, my old habits of self-condemnation, try to return, we must now move from the declaration of your new position to the practical application of it. We must talk about how to walk in the light of this verdict. We must talk about how you live from this new place of wholeness in the great and holy exchange that took place at the cross. You brought the Lamb your stained, tattered, and worthless rags of self-effort and failure, and in return, he removed them from you and clothed you in his own magnificent, seamless robe of perfect righteousness. This is not just a pretty, poetic idea. It is a spiritual reality. At this very moment, you are clothed in this garment. The problem is that you have worn your old, familiar rags of shame for so long that you have forgotten you are clothed in royalty. You still think like a person in rags. You still act like a person in rags. You must now learn how to wear your new garment. Your first and most important instruction is this: you must stop trying to weave your own clothes for your entire life. You have been engaged in the exhausting, impossible task of trying to weave a garment of righteousness for yourself out of the thin, weak threads of your own good intentions and religious efforts. Every time you try to be good enough for me through your own striving, every time you try to earn my favor through your religious performance, every time you try to balance your bad deeds with good deeds, you're essentially trying to patch your old, filthy rags onto this new, perfect garment I have given you. This is an insult to the gift. It dishonors the work of the Lamb. Your spiritual work now is not to create righteousness, but to wear the righteousness you have already been given. It is to rest in the finished work of another. Cease your striving. The weaving is finished. The garment is a gift. Simply wear it. Second, you must learn to look in the right mirror. You have spent a lifetime looking into the cracked and distorted mirror of your own performance, your own feelings, and the opinions of others. And what does that mirror show you? It always shows you your flaws. It magnifies your blemishes. It reflects a tired, stained, and anxious person. I am calling you now to smash that old mirror and to turn your gaze to the only true mirror, my holy word. When you feel stained, you must look into the mirror of my word, which declares that you have been washed whiter than snow. When you feel fragmented and broken, you must look into the mirror of my word, which declares that you are a new creation. When you feel condemned, you must look into the mirror of my word, which declares that there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. You must make a conscious choice every single day to believe the perfect reflection you see in my mirror over the distorted reflection you see in your own. Third, you must learn how to answer your accuser. He has been silenced in the court of heaven, but he will still try to whisper his lies in the court of your mind. He will point to your daily stumbles, your moments of weakness, your failures in thought or deed, and he will try to convince you that your royal robe is a fraud and that you are still wearing your old rags underneath. You must not argue with him on his terms. Do not try to defend your own performance, for it will always be flawed. You must learn to silence him with a greater truth. Your response must be this: yes. Accuser, what you say about my action may be true, but it is no longer the defining truth about me. The defining truth about me is the blood of the Lamb. My robe of righteousness is not based on my behavior today. It is based on his perfect sacrifice. The case is closed. Now, be gone. You must learn to answer his accusations not with your righteousness, but with the righteousness of the Lamb. Fourth, you must begin to walk with a new posture. A person wearing a royal robe does not slouch in a corner, hoping not to be noticed. They do not walk with their head down, filled with shame. They walk with a quiet dignity, a gentle authority, a peaceful confidence. I am calling you to change your spiritual posture. No more cowering before me or before others. No more apologizing for your existence. No more living under a cloud of your own unworthiness. You are a child of the King, clothed in the righteousness of the Prince of Heaven. Walk with the peace and confidence that comes from knowing you are deeply loved, totally forgiven, and eternally secure. Let your outward posture begin to reflect your inward position. Finally, you must let your new garment define your actions. In the past, your actions were often driven by your old, ragged identity. You acted out of fear, out of shame, out of a desperate need to prove your worth and to earn acceptance. But now, you must learn to act from your new identity, because you are unconditionally loved and accepted. You are now free to love others lavishly, without needing anything in return. Because you have been forgiven an infinite debt, you are now empowered to forgive others their small debts against you. Because you have been made whole, you can now minister my healing to the broken people around you. You no longer have to act for acceptance. You now get to act from a place of perfect acceptance. This is the source of all true and joyful service. Do you see, my child, this new garment, this robe of righteousness is not a heavy, restrictive costume that you must be careful not to damage. It is a garment of absolute freedom. It frees you from the exhausting hamster wheel of self-improvement. It frees you from the paralyzing fear of judgment. Or it frees you to be bold, to take risks, to love extravagantly, and even to fail, knowing that your perfect standing with me is not dependent on your performance, but on the finished work of my Son. So wear your new garment. Wear it with joy. Wear it with confidence. When you get up in the morning, put it on by faith. Let it become more real to you than the skin on your bones. Stop identifying with the rags of your past and start living in the royal reality of who you now are. This is how you bring your daily, earthly experience into alignment with your eternal, heavenly position. This is how you live from a place of wholeness. You now have the instructions for how to live from this new reality of wholeness. You understand how to wear your new garment of righteousness, how to look in the true mirror of my word, and how to answer your accuser with the victory of the Lamb. But who fashioned your heart? Know its final and most persistent fear. It is the fear of the future. A voice whispers, "This is all wonderful now, but what about tomorrow? What if I stumble again? What if I commit a great sin? Could I undo this? Could I stain this garment beyond repair? Could I shatter this reforged vessel and lose this wholeness forever?" So now, We must seal this entire revelation with one final, unbreakable, and glorious truth. We must speak of the eternal nature of the covenant that has been made with you. It is the unbroken covenant in his blood. The covenants of men are fragile things. They are dependent on the faithfulness and integrity of both parties. If one party fails, the covenant is often broken. But the new covenant, the one that was inaugurated for you in the very blood of the Lamb, is of a different nature entirely. It is a unilateral covenant of grace. It is not dependent on your perfect faithfulness, but on his. And because the sacrifice that purchased your wholeness was an eternal sacrifice, and the blood that was shed is an eternal blood, your state of wholeness is now an eternal and unchangeable fact. It cannot be reversed. It cannot be undone. Your wholeness is an eternal fact. Let this truth sink deeper than any other. Your cleansing is an eternal cleansing. The blood of the Lamb was not shed as a temporary measure that needs to be reapplied every time you sin. It was shed once, for all people, for all time, for all sin past, present, and future. Its power does not diminish over time. When you stumble, as all my children do, you do not fall out of a state of cleanliness and back into a state of filth. You do not lose your robe of righteousness. You simply get some dust on it. And your role is not to be resaved, but is simply come to me, your loving Father, confess your failure, and receive by faith the cleansing that is already and forever yours. The fountain that was opened on Calvary for sin and for uncleanness never runs dry. Its power to make you clean is as potent today as it was the moment you first believed. Your verdict is an eternal verdict. The declaration of whole, complete, and accepted that I spoke over you was not handed down with a probationary period. The verdict was not whole until your next mistake. It is an eternal declaration of your legal standing based on an eternal sacrifice. Therefore, nothing you can ever do can drag you back into that heavenly courtroom for the same crimes. The case is not just closed. The very courthouse of condemnation where you once stood trial has been demolished by the power of the cross. There's no longer a place for you to be tried for your sin. To do so would be to declare that the sacrifice of my Son was insufficient, and that is a blasphemy I will never allow. Your union with me is an eternal union. Through the blood of the Lamb, you have not just been forgiven, you have been adopted. You have been brought into an unbreakable, organic union with my Son. You are in him, and he is in you. Your life is hidden with Christ in God. Therefore, I cannot reject you without rejecting a part of my own Son. I cannot cast you out without dismembering his body, and I will never, ever reject him. Your eternal security is not based on the strength of your own grip on me, but on my unbreakable, loving grip on you. And I have declared that no power in hell or on earth can ever snatch you from my hand. And to seal this eternal covenant, to give you a tangible guarantee and a constant inner witness to this glorious truth, I have given you a great gift. I have placed my own Holy Spirit to live within you. He is the divine seal upon this eternal transaction. He is the down payment, the deposit, guaranteeing your future inheritance. When the accuser whispers his lies of condemnation, it is the Holy Spirit who will rise up within you and whisper the truth of the blood back to your heart. He is your divine helper, your comforter, whose great joy and primary job is to continually remind you of the unbreakable wholeness that is forever yours in the Lamb. Therefore, my child, you are finally, truly, and eternally free. You are free from the fear of future failure. Now, this is not a license to sin. It is the very power that frees you from the desire to sin, for you no longer fight against sin as a desperate, stained, and terrified slave, trying to earn a freedom you can never achieve. You now fight against sin as a beloved, whole, and righteous child of God, defending the glorious freedom that has already been won for you. You fight not for victory, but from a position of ultimate and eternal victory. This changes everything. The fear of your past has been dealt with. The fear of your future has now been dealt with. All that is left is for you to live today in the glorious reality of your eternal wholeness. And so, my beloved child, my whole one, my cherished and complete treasure, be at peace. Let your soul come to rest in the finished work of the Lamb. We have walked together through the valley of your brokenness. We have seen how the accuser's voice, which once seemed so powerful, has been silenced by the verdict of heaven. The stains are gone. The debt is paid. The shattered vessel has been reforged, stronger and more beautiful than before. And this new reality is not a fragile state you must struggle to maintain. It is an eternal fact, sealed in heaven by a blood that never loses its power. You can rest now. The long war against your own shame is over. The striving to be good enough has ceased. You are perfectly held in a grace that will never let you go. Rest in this truth. Let it be the ground beneath your feet and the very air that you breathe. You are whole. You are clean. You are mine forever.